Well, hello, Current Issues folks. I am sending you this video link because you're part of a team that is going to be leading our discussion in a couple of weeks. And I wanted to make sure that you had enough time to get prepared sufficiently so that everything goes smoothly. From my perspective, that's important because it ultimately reflects back on me if we're not ready for a discussion, but also because part of your grade hinges on this. So I wanted to take a little bit of time here in this video and kind of talk through the timeline of what has to happen. And ideally, you're seeing this really about a week and a half before your topic opens. So let's say, for example, you're on the schedule as part of a team to lead the topic during week 6. If we back up our timeline to make sure that everything happens when it's supposed to, on Sunday morning of week 6 at 1 o'clock in the morning, your discussion comes open. So everything needs to be there. And during week 6, Sunday through Saturday, you're interacting with folks around your topic that you've selected. In order for that to happen, things have to get loaded to the discussion board, and I need to know what to load. So by the Wednesday of week 5, which is the week before your discussion opens, I would prefer that you have given me already the articles that you want to use, the talking points you want to use, and the discussion question or questions that you want to use. In order for you to give me that by Wednesday, which is when you'll get full credit on that part of the grading rubric, you need to have been researching for several days beforehand. But you can't do the research several days beforehand if you don't have a topic in mind yet. So a week and a half ahead of your topic, again, your topic, let's say, is week 6, you researching in week 5, in the middle of week 4, by about Thursday of week 4, I need for you and your partner to have told me what topic you want to use or what topic you want to explore. What are the topics that you can choose from? Well, there's a link I'll put a link in it should be already in this email that got you to this, that is the possible topics that we can choose. Not all of them will be used. There may be some that aren't on that list that are pretty good. But generally speaking, think about the topics that have already been talked about by the time you're seeing this video and mark them off the list, and then look over what's left and pick the one that you and your partner or partners really are the most excited about. One of you should email me that topic, and I'll let you know if it's already been taken by the week ahead of you that you won't have had time to mark off of your list, in which case you'll go to option number 2. But if nobody has claimed that so far, and it's not the one we're going to be doing the week immediately ahead of you, then we'll say okay. And if you've sent me that, let's say on the Thursday of week 4, you're free from Friday of week 4 through Wednesday of week 5 to do your researching. And what I would suggest that you do is that each of you individually, whether there's 2 of you on the team or 3 of you on the team, before you really talk to each other, other than agreeing on the topic itself, each of you does your research in SHRM. Now, you're doing research for this week because some other team has already told you what to research and given you articles to read. But while you're doing all that and interacting with this week's discussion board, you're researching for next week's discussion board that you're going to be leading. So you go out and you find 4 or 5 good SHRM articles about your topic, make a list of them, the URLs, the titles, and then you think from a big picture perspective, what are the main ideas that we want people to know about this topic so that they can talk intelligently on the discussion board? And what question or questions do I think would open up some good conversation around this topic? Once you've gotten what you think are good URLs, titles, talking points, and discussion questions, then you want to partner up with your teammate or teammates and say, show me what articles you've got, I'll show what articles I've got. Let's take a day to look over each other's articles and see if we can agree on what 4 or 5 maybe we want to release to the class. Now, it may be that in the course of your articles and their articles, there's 2 or 3 that go beyond. You don't really want to have 7 or 8, aside from the generations discussion where there's so many different generations, you've got to have multiple articles. Generally speaking, for a particular topic, 4 or 5 articles is sufficient to really get some conversation going. And you may have come up with 8, but you only want to give me 5. Those 3 that you don't give me, don't even put in the information that you send to me. Just kind of put them off to the side. And once the discussion starts during your week, if somebody kind of talks about that topic, you can pull that article out and put a link to it in your discussion post. But talk about after you've done your individual research, what you agree upon are the 4 or 5 best articles for whatever you're really trying to stir up discussion about in the class, and then talk about what you think is the best sequence of talking points. You've seen a couple of examples of my talking points, and I like the way that I've designed it. I've kind of edited them over the course of time, over several semesters, but the format I really like. It's not bullet points, it's not one sentence from each one of the articles that I selected, but as I read through the articles and I kind of built in my head the main ideas that were kind of the themes overall of this topic, my talking points kind of talk about the background and the big ideas that you kind of pick up on as you read through these articles. So give me some talking points that you agree upon that are the overall background of this particular topic. And then give me one or more, maybe 3 at the most. It could be 1 and be really good. It might be, within this topic, there's 2 kind of tracks that we could get some good discussion going on. So you give me a question about each one of those tracks. You decide between you and your partners whether you give me 1 good discussion question or multiple discussion questions. Probably keep it to 3 at the most. Once you've agreed on the articles that you're going to use and the talking points that you're going to use and the discussion question or questions that you're going to use, one of you should email that to me. For full credit, we'll look at the rubric here in just a second, but for full credit by Wednesday night, let me double check that, by Wednesday at midnight for full credit. Every 12 hours you delay after that causes you to lose some points overall, because I need a certain amount of time to look through your material, make sure that the quality is good, that it really is focused on what we want to talk about next week when you're leading it. And if I have questions or problems with it, I need time to get back with you and say, go check this out, this link didn't work, this article doesn't really seem to fit with what you're doing, this question was worded funny, your talking points are kind of scattered, whatever. If I have issues with what you sent me, we need a couple of days for you to go back and rethink it and submit a corrected version. A lot of times, probably most of the time, what you send me to begin with is almost 100% perfect. And I might make a tweak here and there, but I don't need to send it back. But if I do, on the rare occasion that I need to send it back to you, if you give it to me on Friday, there's virtually no time to adjust or adapt what you've got, to modify what you've got before I have to load it. If for it to be open at 1 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, I've got to load it at the latest Saturday afternoon. And I don't really want to be logging in on the weekend loading these things. So if I can have it Wednesday or Thursday perhaps, I can be loading it Thursday or Friday while I'm at work, while I've got access to all my resources and so forth. So the target that we're looking for is the week before your discussion opens. By Wednesday midnight, you've given me, one of you in your team has emailed me your SHRM article URL links, the titles of those articles, the talking point summaries, and the discussion question or questions. And if I like it, I go ahead and load it. Everything's great. We just wait till Sunday when it opens, and then people start talking about your discussion questions. All right, when the week gets started, normally you don't see anybody else's discussion ideas until you've posted something of your own. But because you are the experts on this topic, let's say that the topic is, training millennials or something like that. You've done research, you know a lot about this. I don't want you to be the first few posts. I want you to sit back a day or two and let the rest of the class share their thoughts. And then once their thoughts are out there, then you start filling in the gaps. You ask them some questions. What do you think about this? Or did you read anything about that? But in order to be able to see what they're writing, you've got to have made some kind of post. So in the week that you're the team lead, you'll go in on Sunday and say, hey, I'm part of the team lead this week. I'm looking forward to reading what you have to say. That is a post, and it opens up everybody else's. If it's not your week as a team lead, you're going to post a paragraph or two about your thoughts around the question. But your week, I'm the lead this week, looking forward to reading. That's it. All right. During the course of the week, in a normal week, when you're not the team lead, you're going to post 4 times, and you're going to read, 90% of the article of the posts that are out there. But you're stepping up your game a little bit when it's your week to lead. So you're going to be expected to have 6 posts instead of 4 posts and interact more with the rest of the class. You're going to be expected to read like 95 or 97.5% of the posts rather than 95 or 90 to get full credit. And then when the week has closed, I don't want you to do this during the week. I want to wait until the week is closed on the Sunday that it closes or the Monday after it closes. Then you're going to submit your Dropbox for topic lead 1 or topic lead 2 or whatever it is. And you as an individual, independently of your partner or partners, are going to submit me a file, a Word document, that has the SHRM URLs that you used, the titles of the articles that you used that your team agreed to, the talking points that your team agreed to, and the discussion question or questions that your team agreed to. All of that is the same. And then at the bottom of it, there might be a little different. If there is any concerns that you had about the week, if your partner didn't seem to be available, if they didn't respond, if they didn't do their fair share, if you carried the load, let me know that your partner fell short of your expectations. In most cases, partners work real well together because each of them wants a good grade. There's nothing in the grading rubric that says that I'm going to dock you if you don't do your fair share, but I'm going to reserve the right to do that. In most cases, it's you and one other person. So if you get points docked, it's because your partner said that you fell flat. And it's got to be strong enough for me that if I dock points, the person who gets docked go, yeah, they're right. I waited until Thursday to do anything, or it took me 2 days to respond to emails or whatever. So I'm going to encourage you, just like you would want your partner to be proactive and to step up and to do these things timely, you want to do that as well so that you don't slow down your partner, that you don't cause them any anxiety on trying to get this stuff put together. Let's look at the rubric real quick. Before I end this video here, I'm trying to keep an eye on the time, and we're at about 11 minutes so far. Here's the rubric that you've got access to because the Dropbox is open for you already. Article quality is worth 20% of the overall assignment. And what I mean by article quality is there sufficient meat in that article, in the vast majority of the articles that you submit, to where people have to do a little bit of reading and put a little time into doing it. I'm not looking for a couple of articles that you can kind of read without scrolling. I'd like for you to have to scroll a little bit because there's a lot of stuff in that article. If you've got 5 articles, let's say, and 4 of them you have to scroll a little bit to read, I'm going to say that the article quality is pretty good. If you've got a couple of articles where there's not much meat to it, I'm going to say that it was pretty good or it was fairly good, and you're going to lose some points. So you're right off the bat, you're looking for some articles that have really got some substance to them. If you are doing all of the work ahead of time to lead your classmates towards the ideas that you want them to have, you're going to be a little bit discouraged if it doesn't take them a whole lot of time to really appreciate the work that you've put into this. So I'm not saying that you look for the longest articles. It may be that there's an article that's really good that's only 2 paragraphs long, but for the most part, articles probably going to be 6 or 7, 10 paragraphs, several sections, and it takes a little scrolling and reading to get that done. So quality of articles is 20 points out of 100. The talking points is your summary of what those articles really say, not 2 sentences or a paragraph for each one of the 4 articles, but the overall thoughts. And the quality of those talking points are what create the foundation for our discussions. In a perfect world, what happens is that I, as a student who am not part of the topic lead group, I open up the discussion on Sunday when I wake up, when I get home from church, whatever the case may be, and first thing that I do when I see your topic, I say, hey, that sounds like an interesting topic. I go and I open the talking points and I read through all that. Okay, I got a pretty good understanding of the background of this topic. Then I go and I click on each one of the links to the articles one by one and I read those articles. So I've taken your overview, I've read through your articles, and now I'm building a pretty good understanding of what's going on with this topic. Then I'm going to look at the discussion question or questions and I'm going to pick one and start my post. So if you've got lousy talking points, it's not going to start us off right. It's really, really important to me that you have a very good summary of what this topic is all about in your talking points. So it's 20 points. then the quality of your discussion or question or questions is worth 10 points. If you've got some lousy questions that I can answer in 3 words, you haven't done your job of stimulating discussion. So I want some questions that are kind of open-ended, all around the thoughts of how can HR blah, 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 or what do you think about, or what do you think is the best way, or give me an example of some time when such and such. But questions where we could potentially have different perspectives. Some of the topics that you might choose from off of the list could get into some pretty good discussion of, well, I don't really agree with you on that. I think this, or I think that, or, I used to think that, but you've said something that makes me change my mind. And if you can word your question such that we might have a difference of opinion, then we can very professionally talk about that, and maybe through the course of conversation and dialogue, you can cause me to rethink what I really previously believed was true. The quality of your discussion question is what makes that or breaks that. So that's worth 10 points. Articles, if you give me at least 4 good SHRM articles, you got full credit on this. Now that doesn't mean that you can't give me Newsweek and you can't give me Forbes and you can't give me some random Google search thing. But if you give me 3 Forbes article and a SHRM article, you only get credit for 1 article because I'm looking for SHRM. And that means that you could give me 4 SHRM articles and 2 articles on top of that from somewhere else, a total of 6. 4 of them are SHRM, that's what I'm looking for. 4 articles, 10 points. Each 1 fewer SHRM article is a reduction in points. And as I said, I need time to look over it, to get feedback, or to give you feedback, to get you to redo part of it, and still have time to load this thing on Friday or Saturday. So the earlier you get it to me, the better. Wednesday at midnight is the ideal, and that's for full credit. All right, so keep an eye on how the clock is ticking. Push your partners to get you information so that we can agree on what the final product looks like and get it to Dr. Grimes by Wednesday at midnight, ideally maybe Thursday by lunch at the worst case. And then during the course of the week, normally you would post 4 times. During your team lead week, I'm expecting more, so 6 times at the very minimum. Now, if you post 100 times, you don't get any extra points. If you post 6 or more, you're going to get full credit on that. There's a lot of times when folks don't get involved in their own discussion board, and that's discouraging. You're the expert, and you need to be filling in ideas and bringing out new lines of thought. So more participation than normal is the expectation here. When it comes to reading these things, you know that normally you have to read like 90% or 95% or something to get full credit. But when you're leading this thing, you've got to be, as I said with the posts, more involved than the folks who aren't leading it. So I'm looking for you to read almost every one of these things. And hopefully nobody posts, Sunday at 7 o'clock until Sunday at midnight, and everybody missed 5 posts because somebody didn't play by the rules and posted late at night and you missed it. But 97.5% that you read by the end of the day on Sunday. And again, hopefully we'll condition folks through the semester to where they quit posting Saturday at midnight. So Sunday, there's nothing new out there. It's just a matter of reading stuff. And then that's the grading there. 10 for the reading, the percent that you read, 20 on the posts, being actively involved, 10 on the timeliness, 10 on the articles and the quantity of the articles, 10 on the quality of the discussion question or questions, and 20 each on the talking points and the quality of your articles. So as we summarize all this thing, if let's say that you're leading in week 8, by Wednesday of week 7, you need to give me all your materials. You need to have been researching that for the few days ahead of time, which means that by Thursday of week 6, you need to have given me your topic. So week 6, you'd give me the topic. Week 7, you'd give me the information. Week 8, you'd lead the discussion. And then in week 9, you send me your assessment Dropbox with all of the information that I've talked about there. I hope that makes a whole lot of sense. If you had questions, that you kind of have solidified what it is that I'm looking for, and that you will do a really good job now that you know this. If you have questions, reply to the email. In fact, reply all so that your partners know the questions and know my answers, or go to the Ask Dr. Grimes discussion board and post something out there. I hope you're getting excited about the possibility of leading your classmates in a topic of your choosing off of my list. If there's something that you've been reading about or hearing about in the news that seems to be a current HR thing and it's not on that list, talk to your partner about it and shoot me an email and say, hey, this is not on the list, but could we do that? And if we can come up with a good idea of what that might look like, then sure, go ahead and explore a topic that's not on our list, because I might put that on our list for future semesters. But before you start researching a topic, clear it with me first to make sure that it still hasn't been chosen by somebody else and that it seems to be something that is relevant to HR today. Again, if you have questions, let me know. I hope that you're enjoying the class and you're learning an awful lot about HR and thinking strategically about how HR would counsel senior management on how to address certain types of issues that we're talking about, and that you're growing as an individual and an HR professional in the process of doing that. That's all for now. I'm looking forward to your discussion week and what you bring to the table, and I'll challenge as best I can and challenge your classmates. You do the same. So long.